Ishbia, CEO of United Wholesale Mortgage. I don't know, maybe about a month ago or so, I'm sort of scrolling through LinkedIn, reading all this great content that's out there, and you're popping up all over the place. And I'm like, maybe I should be reaching out to Matt and seeing what's driving you and where you guys are at. So you reached out and your team reached out. You guys are awesome. And complete follow-up, so professional, so exciting. I wanted to take some time with you, number one, to congratulate you on all the amazing advancements. You went public recently with the company, and congratulations. We'd love to hear a little bit more about that.
We're excited about it. Thank you very much.
Huge deal. I mean, coming out of Pontiac, Michigan, and doing the work that you're doing. So really, we wanted to take some time to learn a little bit about you, what gets you going, what keeps you and motivates you on a daily basis, but also on the business that you have. You clearly can't be doing what you're doing alone. You must have an incredible team of people and a motivator yourself of that team. So before we get into that, love to hear a little bit about you. And there's context with Michigan State and basketball for those of us that have known about you in your past. And moving into United Wholesale Mortgage, I think 03 or so, becoming an account exec, and then of course CEO around 2013. So if you can give us a little bit of background on you, we'd love to hear.
Yeah, no, I'll give a quick background. Thanks, and I'm glad to be here with you and talking. And just in a quick version of, grew up here in Metro Detroit, played high school basketball, eventually got a chance to, after graduating high school, be a preferred walk-on on Michigan State's basketball team. I got a chance to play for Tom Izzo. My first 3 years were 3 Final Fours, 3 Big Ten championships, national championships. I got there the best time. I'm not very good. I was at the end of the bench, but I was on a great team with great players and a great coach. And so it was a great experience. Was there for a total of 5 years, including the last year where I coached with coaches. And I learned so much about how I wasn't planning on going in coaching. I wasn't good enough to go to the NBA. So let's go to basketball. Let's go coach and learn from Izzo, who I think is one of the best 10 people in the world at what he does. And decided to, instead of going to college basketball route, to go into the business world where my father had started. My father's an attorney. He doesn't work here, never has worked here, but he has a couple small businesses. And one of them was a small mortgage company that he started in 1986. And I became the 12th person here at UWM in 2003 and kind of started learning the business and learned the business from the ground up, making $18,000 a year to start, kind of building the business, learning everything, asking a million questions, coming in early, staying late, and really learned the business from the ground up. And over those 10 years we went from 12 people to, almost 1,000 people, maybe a little more than that by the time I became the CEO. And then in 2013, and then we kind of grew it from there, from 2013 to now we're at 8,500 team members here in Pontiac, Michigan. One building, or really 2 buildings connected by a bridge, but one awesome campus. Obviously in COVID, most people are working from home, but besides that, we're here together as a team and as a family. And we're the number 2 overall mortgage company in the country, right behind Rocket Mortgage. And we're the number 1 wholesale lender, which is our sector, for 6 consecutive years. So we've really, we've passed all the big players that have been there, and we're proud of what we've done. And as you said at the beginning, it's not Matt doing this. I got a great team of people. I got 8,500 amazing people. I got great leaders around me. They all make me look a lot better than I really am, which works out good for me. And so that's really who I am and what I'm about. I'm a single father of 3 children. I got 10, 7, and 6-year-old boy, and coach their sports on the weekends. And besides that, that's all I do. I work and I play with my kids and live life.
I mean, where to even move after that? A lot of people would say, listen, I don't necessarily want to go into a business that maybe my dad might be involved in, and it maybe not be something that I want to go into because of XYZ reasons. Even going back to that, I mean, how did you, from a family perspective or a values perspective, was there something that was instilled in you, and maybe it came from Michigan State, maybe it came from your dad, from your school? Was there something that was instilled in you to kind of take that on, that responsibility, also building something almost from a beginning stage into something much greater that happened to be part of your family business?
Yeah, so a couple of things. One, my father and I are so close. We've been close my whole life. My brother, my mother, my father. I have a great family. I'm very lucky and blessed. be part of the family with them. And so everything's great with that. But the difference between me and most others is a lot of times you go work for your uncle, your brother, like my dad doesn't work here. He never worked here. So it was really like he happened to own it, but there's people that were running the company that I worked for. I reported to those people. My father never has an office here, never had one. Even since when I bought the company from him, he's never had one then, before or after. And so he's he's an attorney. He's just a serial entrepreneur. He owns a hotel here and a restaurant here and a title company here. And he gets involved with 18 different.
Keeps you out of trouble.
And so so that's maybe a little different dynamic than other people come in and work for their father or brother or sister or mother, that they're there all day, every day. And you kind of have that thing. It was kind of a separate thing. And I wasn't really connected with him on an hourly or daily basis, if you think of it that way.
And then building out the business, mid 2000s, 02 to or 03 to 2013. I mean, that was also that crux within the market. Obviously, there was the big fall that we had in 08 up through 2012. Some people would say that there were implications because of the mortgage businesses that were on the market, that there was some fallout due to that. Also, I'm talking nationally and internationally, especially nationally on the market side. The responsibility that you have as a company, you're really building out the opportunity for people to have homes, not just houses, but to build a home within that house. It was some of that thinking sort of instilled in the vision of United Wholesale Mortgage?
Yeah, so absolutely. So a couple of things with that. So, obviously 2003, 4, 5, 6, 7, the years that I just got to the company, those are the boom years in the mortgage. Everyone was doing all this. But, to give my father credit, when I got there, he said, hey, listen, we don't do all mortgages. We're not doing loans to make a commission. Like, we're going to only lend to people that can pay us back. And so we really never got involved with the subprime loans. That's one of the things I give my father the most credit for, is because I didn't know any better back then. He said, no, don't do those loans. Stick to conventional and FHA and VA loans. And so all those boom years, we weren't doing that much business. We were actually struggling. And then when the crash hit, all the companies that were doing the wrong type of loans, not doing things the right way, focused on making money rather than doing right, they all went away. And then the company like us was sitting there and saying, okay, now there's an opportunity to grow and capitalize. And so we take our job very seriously. As I said, we're the number 2 overall mortgage company in America. 1 out of every 20 loans in America comes here. 1 out of every 10 purchases comes through us. So we're making the American dream come true in a lot of respects. And we have to do a heck of a job every single day to make the process. I joke about it that I'm in the mortgage business. We're a pretty large company that nobody wants my product. Nobody wants a mortgage. They want the house, And so we have to make the process fast, easy, and cheap. And if I can't do that, they don't want to be associated with me. If it takes 60 days and it's honky, no one wants to deal with that. So we make it a fast, easy, cheap process. So that was the game plan. And the strategy was, how do we really serve this? And now we really know our place in America, where, so many mortgages are going through UWM. People can't buy the house unless UWM is here to help and make that process smooth and efficient. And so we're proud of that opportunity. And it really is a rallying cry for our 8,500 people, because it's not like we're selling water bottles. Not that there's anything wrong with that. We're making an impact every day.
Yeah, you're building lives in so many ways. I mean, that home is a life, obviously, or lives for families. And the fact that the 2 largest mortgage companies in the States are based in Michigan. I mean, what are the chances of that happening? And then where does that fit sort of? Clearly you have to be competitive to be where you're at now. I mean, where does that fit sort of within your mindset also, with having, a competitor down the street from you too?
Yeah.
What does that do for you?
I think a couple of it ties to, a lot of great hardworking people in Metro Detroit, and so the Midwest mentality of hard work, positive attitude, I think that's helped drive both our mortgage company and, Rocket Mortgage downtown. They're number 1, we're number 2 right now. I have a lot of goals. I'm very competitive. You'll figure that out about me. And I don't have written on my board, if you want my office, that says be the number 2 overall mortgage company. It's not one of the goals, so we will become number 1. It's just a matter of when and the grind every day to get there. And when we get to number 1, we'll be number 1 by more, and we'll continue to work towards it every day, but we'll never sacrifice who we are. And I tell people this all the time. There's people have said, hey, if you do this, you can become number 1 right now. I said, listen, we're not doing the same type of loans. I'm not doing low credit score loans or riskier loans that maybe Rocket Mortgage or other companies might do. That's not who we are. I'd rather be number 38 and do it the right way than be number one and maybe not. So we're going to do it the right way, the way we've always done it. And we're going to keep working every day to grow our business.
Out of the 3 points that you mentioned for individuals that are interested in getting a home loan through you, is there one that supersedes the other? For example, is being fast on your end superseding price? Do you notice, or vice versa?
Yeah, so no, so if people want to get a mortgage, the key messaging is go to findamortgagebroker.com. Mortgage brokers are cheaper than retail. So you can talk about, this is not opinion, this is fact. You can call Wells Fargo, call Chase, call Rocket Mortgage. You call Johnny Smith Mortgage Broker. Even after Johnny Smith Mortgage Broker is paid, he's lower rate than all three of those lenders. No questions asked, not even a discussion. Everyone knows it. So if you go to a broker, you're going to get cheaper. And then what UWM's job is to be the fastest, easiest option for the mortgage broker. A lot of times the broker doesn't bring it to us. That's okay. But the broker can do it cheaper. And cheap is important because people don't want to pay too much on a mortgage. It's probably the biggest payment people make every month. But also people don't want to go through a headache and get 88 different times going back and looking for tax returns and pay stubs and these things so often. So findamortgagebroker.com is where you go. You might end up with us. You might end up with other lenders. But the key is you need to make it fast, easy, and cheap. The broker is cheaper. And for what we focus on is how to make it seamless, fast and easy, because it already is cheap if you come through the wholesale channel, which is what we do.
So some of what we've got on our back, and we do a lot on the digital side, we do a lot of integrated systems and sort of more some strategic thinking and implementation of integrated systems for different industries. And not being a B2C, which you're not, as far as I understand, you're B2B, and to find that systematic approach that makes sense, easy to understand, you're really multiplying your results base exponentially, because you have a third party ultimately, right, that's selling you, but they also need to understand how to sell you, which that's a challenge in many scenarios.
Yeah, absolutely. And so for business to business, a big part of our job is we have to understand what the end consumer wants, which is my house, but I also have to understand what that loan officer, the mortgage broker wants, and teach them how to be successful. Because what I say all the time is if they don't grow, we have no chance. And so we have to help them succeed. They don't know that they should invest in technology. So you know what we do? We built the technology and give it to them. They don't know how to market. So we do a Super Bowl commercial and do a findamortgagebroker.com, help educate them. We have to be their champion, helping them succeed and excel. And if we don't, then they won't. And so that's a big part. We have 50,000 loan officers throughout America, 50,000 individuals, which is about 12,000 companies, small businesses throughout America that we help power by helping them with their technology, their marketing, making sure they look good so that when they close a loan that for their kid's baseball coach, that their baseball coach says, wow, that was easy. You should talk to my sister. She needs a loan. We help her get referrals. And that's how we help these businesses grow. When they rely on UWM, we help them succeed. And that's how we grow.
It's like localizing, the story component of who you are and what the delivery system is, but really integrating it into their mindset so that they feel that they've got your back as much as you have their back.
Absolutely. That's exactly what it is. And when they realize that, they know we're all in and we're tied at the hip. We win when they win. And so we're all rowing the boat in the same direction.
When you get into this ideation phase, let's say, because you're constantly just not only ideating, but you also have to implement on whatever that ideation structure is. Walk us through, for those of us that have smaller companies and entrepreneurs that are starting out, that are part of our audience also, kind of walk us through, like, what is a structure? So for example, John Smith on your team comes up with some idea that presumably they're looking to come to market with. What's sort of a flow? What happens within the organization? Is there a sit down on a sort of regular basis every Monday that, all ideas are put out on the table? Is it a sort of whiteboard session? What happens in order to execute on innovation within United? So what's the process in a short,
So there's two things I would say. First thing is we have a process here. We call it Brilliant Ideas, where we want our team members to what we call challenge the why, ask questions, come up with new ideas, because we've got 8,500 people. I'm not coming up with all these ideas. We got a lot of great people that come up with these ideas. And so how do we get the ideas from our team members about, gosh, our broker said this, could we do it this way? And so that's one way we go through it. There's a Brilliant Ideas process where we get ideas from our team members and our clients, to be clear. Same kind of thing. Tell us what we can do better. Give us ideas. But then on top of it, what I would recommend for other leaders and what I feel one of my strengths are, along with my leadership team strength are, is staying in the weeds of the business. I'm not, 30,000 feet up. I'm not even 10,000 feet up. I'm on the ground level. I walk and ask our clients what's going on. I talk to our team members and I say, I don't ask the leader, the VP of sales. I'll go ask the sales rep AE that's been here 7 months. So why isn't that broker using us? What they say, who they use, why they using it. Say, wow, well, we could do that. Did you think about this? Okay. That's how you come up with ideas. You have to be in the weeds of your business to actually figure out what you need. And you have to truly understand what your customer wants. And so if you're in the weeds and you know what your customer wants, you'll find that out and then you'll be able to deliver it. And then we innovate. We have over 1,000 tech people here. We're building stuff all day by ourselves. We're not waiting for some vendor to come out with it. We're coming up with our own stuff that helps, differentiate our clients or differentiate ourselves to our clients.
Was there a turning point that you said, I now know that we're ready to grow? There was a moment in time, for example, on our ends of various businesses that I've had in my past, media-based, digitally based, there were a couple of points that I literally saw, and when I look back and reflected on it, but I literally saw this was a turning point. I either need to now bring in investors, I need to either now build in more of a team. So there was a turning point for me. Did you see that within a certain amount of time that you just knew, yeah, this is going to boom and we're going to go out?
I don't know if I saw, there's a couple of different decisions and things we made that kind of helped push the trajectory of our company into the level that we're at today. But one of the things that you're maybe referencing, one of the things that when we were going into, we were back then, there was different business lanes, and we made the decision to say, hey, we're only going to do one thing, wholesale.
Very important.
And
talk about that. I'm going to just interrupt you because that is so key. Please expand on that.
So in the mortgage business places, even like most of our competitors, they do retail, they do wholesale, they do a lot of different things. And they try to be everything to everyone or good at a lot instead of the best at one. And we said, listen, can we change the dynamic of our company? First off, we decided that the best place for a consumer to get a mortgage is a mortgage broker. Like, that's facts. The end consumer should go through the broker. So let's put all of our resources towards that and go all in. And then what we found was just the focus, the singular focus of the company. We're not distracted here. I'm not sitting here, well, should we open up a title company? Should we open up an appraisal company? Should we do this? What should we do with this? What else? Like, I'm singular focused. Let's dominate this channel. Let's get 8,500 people focused on one thing. And that singular focus has really, I think, catapulted our business and helped us. And so I think if I reflect back, the understanding what the end consumer was best for them and best for the loan officers, we made that decision and then we went all in on it. And it's okay to be wrong, but the way I look at it is I'm going a million miles per hour at the decision I make. And if I make the wrong one, I'll turn and change. But sometimes people sit there and kind of, well, what about this? What if this happened? And you start thinking about 88 what ifs rather than let's go dominate. And if something happens, we'll change, we'll modify. And so the singular focus was a big deal.
Presumably you've got, at this point, obviously tons of data, but also back when you were starting, there was probably a lot of gut instinct. That's in some level, as you were, 03 and those years up to probably 6, 7, 8, I'm guessing. You personally, are you driven by a gut instinct? Are you driven by data as Matt?
Yeah, it's definitely not data. So, my team will laugh if they say, I go with what I feel. I know the data and I get involved with things, but I'm instinct and I'm in the weeds of the business. So I'm really client focused. What's our clients need and what our team members need? And I make decisions very quickly. And I decide quick. One of the things I decide very quickly and we go. We do not sit here and talk about it for 9 months. We'll talk about it, but it's like 19 minutes. And then we're going with a new idea in a different direction. And we're going to try it. And if it's wrong, we'll switch back. And so I have data. We look at data. But the reality is what I learned, one of the big lessons I learned is when I became CEO and I made the decision we're going all in wholesale, I had our warehouse partners, all these big mega banks, everyone in the industry saying, you can't do that. The broker channel is only 13% of the business. You're missing out on 87%. And I said, well, we'll grow it. And now it's at 20%, the broker channel. So we're only playing 20% of the pie. But the reality is this, that was the right decision, but everyone said we were going the wrong way. And I had people say, were our partners that said they wouldn't work with us because we're doing the wrong thing. They thought that you have to have all the channels, you have to be diversified. And so what is the data on that? The data probably supported them, but they were wrong. My instinct were that's best for the consumer, best for LOs. We're going that way. And you have to have the confidence to make that decision. And it's okay to be wrong, but we weren't wrong on that one.
So you're at 18% now. You're number two with 18% of the market, upwards of 20% of the market on the mortgage brokerage side. And you're doing as well as you are. Did I get that correct?
So the mortgage market is 80% through retail, 20% through wholesale. Number one lender, Quicken Loans, Rocket Mortgage, plays in the whole 100%. They get loans to everyone. We only play in the 20%.
And that's what I'm saying. You're number two.
And we're bigger than Wells Fargo and Chase and Bank of America.
Unbelievable.
20%. So as our channel grows to 30 or 35%, we have a massive market share. We're the largest in our space by we have like 35, 36% of the 20%, if you think of it that way. So as that 20% grows, we're going to keep growing with it. And so that's part of the strategy where everyone else is already kind of at a end game. They have the whole pie they're playing in and they are who they are. We have a chance to grow our pie.
Estimated net revenue of approximately, I believe, 4.7 billion for 2021 is what I have read. And you recently went public. Was this ever in your dreams something that you would have envisioned that this is what you would have built out? Was this your goal? Was your goal to make this company the size that it is?
No.
Or is this just beyond any comprehension?
Yeah, no, the goal is to win today and then win again tomorrow. And of course, I set some big goals and we set some pretty lofty goals that we beat really, really handily, and, I'm real big on set a goal, set it out for this year, set it out for 3 years, and then work your butt off every day, stay in the weeds, and then look up and see where you're at. And, and we went well beyond it. There's never a time, even if you wanted to go back 2 years ago to 2000 or 3 years ago, 2018, that I ever said we would ever go public or ever even do 100 billion, let alone we did 182 billion in 2020. Like these numbers, we never even imagined being at this level. It wasn't part of the plan. It still isn't part of the plan. The plan is just to win today, get better today. What can I do to move it, gain an inch today to get us better?
So much of that stemming through you and your vision. Clearly, it's so much of your mindset, this idea of pushing forward, this idea of exploring and innovating, and presumably also really backing yourself up with an incredible team. What do you think are the top 2-3 things that you look for within leaders within the organization? You just say, yeah, this is the person.
Yeah, so a couple things. I'm real big on, a lot of the growth, if not the great majority of the growth, is because of my team. And so first off, in order to have a great team, you got to be a great leader. You got to treat people the right way. You got to care about people. You got to show them that you care so that they care about you and the business as well. And so that's a big part of what I look for in my leaders. First off, work ethic and attitude is a given, and we require that. That's all I care about of our 8,500 people. You can be your right work ethic, you drive and grind and want to get better, and you have a positive attitude. I don't care if you went to college, you went to high school, you didn't graduate from anywhere. It doesn't matter to me. All I care about is work ethic and attitude. Then to take it to the leadership level, it's, you have to be so in tune with your team and the processes. Being in the weeds of your business, like we talked about earlier, is so key. And you have to also, we call it burn the boats, which means you got to be all in. You got to be all in for UWM. If you want to lead people, you have to have a positive attitude, work ethic. We talk about that, but you got to say, listen, we're going all in. We're going to make this happen. We're going to figure it out together as a team, because people, glean that from you if you're not. And so those are a couple of things I look for: being in the weeds, being all in with UWM, and at the same time, people, I talk about positive work ethic, but also on top of that, you have to be a great communicator and collaborator. Like, I don't care who makes a decision. I don't care if it was yours or someone else's, but communicating to everyone through the organization or on your team why we decided to do that, and make them feel like they were part of the decision, which is they should be. But if they weren't, what do you think about this? What's your idea on this? And if you think about those ideas and get their thoughts, you're going to win. So communicate and collaborate. Great work ethic and attitude is required, but being in the weeds and burn the boats are things that we think about.
Do you have, workshops or support sort of programs that you offer to your teams that you think are really worthwhile or thought-provoking, especially on the communication side, because I can't agree more. I mean, to really be able to communicate your story well internally and externally is key to make or break. Do you have some kind of tools that you guys implement, or some, expert maybe that you bring in, that sort of, you have these sort of workshops you guys go through?
Yeah, so we have a whole leadership training group. So all of our leaders, we have 700 leaders, which means you lead 6 people or more, or 6 people in your tree, if you think of it that way. And we have leadership training. Everyone's got to go through leadership initial training. Everyone's got to go through a boot camp when they become a leader. We promote from within. Almost, I think 95% of our leaders are promoted from within. So very rarely do I hire someone from outside, but everyone goes through these trainings. We have different real scenario trainings where like 9 of us leaders get in a room and talk about this happened. How would you handle it? How would you handle it? And we have leadership coaches, actually one of my old teammates from Michigan State basketball, Mateen Cleaves, who was the star player there. He's one of our top leadership coaches, which he's coaching leaders. He sits down with me for 30 minutes every quarter. Hey, here's what we got to do. We're coaching our leaders, just like you got to coach team members, because not everyone leads the same way. We also have our belief system of our leaders. We have 12 different behaviors that our leaders must exude, and we train and coach on those things. And so it doesn't just happen where everyone just knows how to do these things. Like, you actually have to teach people and coach them. And then we get surveys on where they stand, and we coach them up on those things. What are the actions to get better? It's a whole process. It's not just like, hey, now these people report to you, go manage them. Like, we don't talk like that. That's not what we do.
So you're pretty goal-oriented all the way down throughout the whole company, clearly.
Every aspect, every month, every one of our leaders has different responsibilities they have to do, and we measure them. Hey, did you recognize your team members? How do we recognize that? How do we know if they did? Did they give a certain amount of kudos? And we have an internal system where we can track that stuff. Like, did you shadow someone? Are you an expert? Are you in the weeds? Like, we have different metrics that everyone knows what they've got to do every single day.
I can tell you, just on our end, on the communication side with your team, the thoroughness and the accessibility, which, I mean, for all intents and purposes, within the speed of what we had within communicating with you, I don't know when the last time was that we experienced something as professional and as exciting, really.
I love hearing that. I'll make sure I share with them, because, that's our team executing at a high level and really living our culture, which is we give great service no matter what role you are. We want to respond to people and be accessible, and hopefully it works out great. And I'm glad I get that great feedback.
It's excellent. So you're in Pontiac. For those that don't know, Pontiac, Michigan is automotive manufacturing is also around the corner from you guys. There's a lot of factories also nearby. There's a suburban lifestyle. Let's say it's outside of Detroit for listeners that don't know the city. There's also a lot of opportunity to help support the local community. And I think from what I've been reading and hearing, you United, you're pretty big on giving and giving back within the community. There's a whole, obviously, discussion, of course, within Detroit and what's going on with downtown, putting aside the pandemic and the crisis that we'll get into in a second. But what are some of the things that you're doing either within Pontiac or within Detroit? I know that you've got some pretty cool programs going on the giving side, on supporting the community.
Yeah, so we're real big on taking care. We're very blessed. We're doing well at our business, and obviously, besides that, how hard of a time it is right now in all of America. But beyond that, just always doing right by the community. Pontiac's a community that needs a little bit of help here and there, and some love. And we do a lot of things to help Pontiac. You can go and then beyond that, not just Pontiac, Metro Detroit. So we're very loyal and hopeful to all of Metro Detroit, the Tri-County area. Like, how do we really make an impact in this area? We have different programs. We have a thing called Pay It Forward. So one of the things here is, as team members do great work, they get Pay It Forward points, and then they can pick where our charitable money goes. So a different, they're passionate about a veterinary clinic. These guys are passionate about homeless, like whatever it may be. And so our team members can direct the funds that we give towards charity. Mm-hmm. On top of that, we're doing a lot of things for the kids. So my mother was a teacher here in Pontiac for 25 years. And so we do a lot of things for kids. We're looking at building a community center, which I just purchased an opportunity for us to do that. And so we can make impact on kids in the local community, helping kids get a chance. And then during the pandemic, a small thing we've been doing, which is, we saw so many of our friends and family members that own restaurants and are involved with restaurants been struggling. And so for a while there, we were just buying, a couple $1,000s a day of food from restaurants and delivering them to homeless shelters. and just trying to help two groups at once. And then we expanded that to where now, we got so much support from that. There's so many more people want to, need help. And so we're helping more and more. So we extend that and doing more and more of that. And so doing a lot of things. We got tax incentives like every other major corporation that goes to a place. And we gave them the millions of dollars back to the city. We said, we don't want the money. You use it for the schools or for kids. And so we're very big on do what's right. A lot of things we do, and I gave a couple of those because some of those things are in the media. A lot of things we also do, we don't talk about because we just do right. It's not to get a pat on the back. It's not to get people to write a nice article about us. It's to do the right thing because doing the right thing feels good. And that's what we do here at UWM.
Who instilled those values in you? Is there a person or a mindset?
My mother and father, both of them. My father's very giving, always do right by others. Don't worry about yours. Like my whole life, from my father, and then a lot from Izzo too. But it's not about, one of my philosophies here and one of our philosophies is we don't focus on money. We don't focus on how much money we make. We focus on winning, being successful. Money follows success. Do right and good things happen. That's how I was raised. Like help people out. Do right by those people. You don't have to get everything. Do right and good things come back. And that's how we've built things here at UWM. That's how we've built our business. And that's what we do in the community.
So inspirational. On the crisis and maybe even placemaking, since you are in Pontiac, you really are infiltrated, boots on the ground. You're feeling the pain that everybody's going through, obviously in different sort of calibers now. What are maybe a couple of things that you think would be key takeaways for a business moving past now? Presumably, we're sort of hopefully past the worst of this. How should people be looking at future of their business or investment cycles or innovating or thinking of new things on a business side as we move through the crisis of the pandemic? Do you have some thoughts to share with us?
What I think about that is like everyone thinks about business differently. What I think about is, what the pandemic showed us is that things come out of nowhere. You got to be prepared. And so when starting a business, you got to be involved with it and you got to know your stuff inside out because you know what? Things can sucker punch you. The COVID sucker punches everybody. No one was expecting, I didn't have a COVID-19 plan at the company a year, right? Like it just wasn't. So how are you prepared for the random things? But the way you win that stuff is by being so in the weeds, so connected to your client. I think too often people start thinking about their process and their strategy and their financing, rather than thinking about what does your client want and what are they giving you money for? And if you go to the very core of in our business, our client wants that house and they don't want the dang mortgage. Nobody wants a mortgage. So what do we got to do for them? We got to make it fast, easy, and affordable. How do we do that? Boom. And I know if I can make it faster, easier, and cheaper, all the end consumers are going to be happy. And so now what do I got to do to make that happen? So for business people, whether you're starting a business or you're building a business or you already have a great business, is what is the end consumer paying you for? What do they really want? And then build your business around that. And I do the same thing because, I could even argue that I have three consumers. The consumer, I understand that. Then my actual customer, the broker who works with me, but then my team members. I got 8,500 people. Without those people, I got no shot. And so I literally think about those three sections and say, what do team members want? They want opportunity to grow. Well, 95% of my promotions came from with internal. Like, okay, they want, what do they want? They want to have a work-life balance. So we do so I think about all those things. So focus on the consumer, your consumer, and do what they need and what they're paying you for. And if you can deliver that, you're going to end up winning.
How easy is that to implement?
Well,
is it easy?
It's a lot easier than you think because you got to do is you got to tear away all the barriers. So like, I don't know let's think about a dry cleaner. I mean, I can think of any business or, what is the dry cleaner? He wants or she wants people to come to them and deliver their dry cleaning so they can clean their shirts, whatever it may be, right? Okay, well, what really matters to them? They want it back fast. They don't want it to be too expensive. They don't want it to be a hassle because nobody wants to go back. How do I make it easier for them? How do I go drop it off and deliver it? Can I create a delivery? So like start thinking about what that consumer needs and then build your business around that. Not because, well, nobody does that. Everyone just does it this way. Well, if you do it the way everyone else does it, you're going to be like everybody else and probably be average. If you want to be great, you got to do things differently.
So it really comes down to, in your mind, and I'm sure for many successful people, finding your different niche. So you've been published, you've written books. You've had the success that you have. You have a family, you have your children. What's a work-life balance look like for Matt Ishbia? What does a day look, what's a Wednesday look like in your life?
Yeah. So I got two things in my life, my kids and my office, right? And so I take care of those things, and those are my priorities. Most days I try to be in the office by 4 a.m. So I have a nanny that lives with me that takes care of my kids in the morning, gets them on the bus. There's one day a week where actually we'll stay home, work from home, and actually take them to breakfast and drive them to school. That's my day with my kids. In the morning, I don't get to work till 7:30, but I work from home from 4 to 6:30 until they wake up. But 4 to 7 or 4 to 8 in the morning is like my grind time. No one bothers me, no meetings, nothing but focus, strategy, making decisions, shooting out kudos, recognizing our team members, doing all those things from 4 to 8. Then most of the day I'm in meetings, getting opportunities to speak with people like yourself, which is a great opportunity, talking to our team members, being in the weeds of the business, making decisions, coming up with new technology, or sitting in technology demos and giving my thoughts on it. And then I try to get home, most nights by between 6 and 6:30, have dinner with my kids. And then 6:30 to 8:30, I put my phone down, I keep it with me. I put it in airplane mode. So I'm not getting emails and texts. I'm taking pictures of my kids. We're playing, last night we went and I buried my kids and they buried me in the snow last night. Like, we do fun things every night, and then we do a movie night and go to bed. I'm asleep by 9:15 every night, because if I wake up at 3:15, 3:30, I'm still getting 6 hours. But every day, consistently. And the way I think about it is, you don't have to work that many hours to be successful. But the way I realized, I'm not as smart as most people, and I didn't have as much money as most people. So I had to outwork everybody. That was the one thing I could do to get to where I'm at. And it doesn't happen over a month of doing this. I did this for 18 years at this company to try to get to this level. And I'm still doing it. Now I'm pushing even harder because, you can never relax, or someone else will come by and take our business.
So you don't sleep or in a regulated time frame, and you're up really pre-dawn.
Yeah, well, I get 6 hours of sleep, and I drink a lot of water, as you'll see. But I never drink coffee or anything like that. But also, the one thing I will mention is I try to not come in my office on Saturdays and Sundays. I work from home, but I'm with my kids. I coach all their sports. I coach 3 games of basketball on Saturdays and football on Sundays with my kids. And so I'm coaching their sports, involved in their lives. So I try to separate those times. Either I'm all in here or I'm all in there. And that's what I try to do.
Learning from successful people like you, organization, focus on what you have, tasks that you have at hand, and being able to fit in the things you want to do throughout your day, primarily with your family, are really keys to having a successful life.
It's sacrifice. You got to choose what's most important to you. Like, I don't watch TV, and I like TV, by the way. I like watching stuff. I had to choose to sacrifice sleep, kids, work. I don't have time for I don't have the biggest social life. I don't have the biggest, whatever. I don't watch 2-hour shows on TV, or, I just don't have that. You have to pick. If you choose, like I always say, success is a choice. If you choose to be successful, then you gotta do all the things that come along with that, which means you gotta sacrifice other things. And some people can be successful by working 8 hours a day and being with their kids and their wives or husbands and watching TV shows. That success is measured differently. Success is happiness. What makes you happy? And so what makes me happy is my kids and running this business.
So 3 takeaways as we wrap up from you for keeping an innovative mindset, and as we're moving again past COVID, and as we're looking at the marketplace with Detroit and cities like Detroit and Pontiac that are really aiming to grow their assets that they have more and more as the years go on. 3 takeaways from an innovative mindset from somebody that's obviously success. What would you say would be the 3 things innovatively thinking about as you start your day for entrepreneurs and leaders and business owners in the area?
Well, so from an innovative perspective, I think you got to have your alone time, as in, like, mine's 4 to 8 a.m. Like, if you want to be thinking about things, you can't be being pulled in 8 different, like, I know some people like working from home. Like, if you got kids and dogs and everything running around, like, how do you get focused? What do you do for, like, you need some focus time. Maybe it's 4 hours like it is for me. Maybe it's 2 hours. Maybe it's 30 minutes. But if you want to be innovative and do different things, one thing is get your alone time, get your focus. I call it my grind time where I'm going to grind and outwork everyone, and think about things and be so. And then the second thing I would say, the second takeaway is be so tied into your consumer and in the weeds of your business. Do not think that you can just kind of, figure that out. Or like, I don't outsource anything to anybody. Right? There's nothing that I'm not involved with. And making decisions with doesn't mean I make all the decisions. It means I know what's going on. And we have a big company. You can be very involved. And so you want to be innovative, because that's how I get my ideas. I'm sitting there talking to a client that does 2 loans a month with us. We do 60,000. They're not a big client by any means. And they say something that just doesn't make sense to me. And all of a sudden it triggers like a whole nother thought. And then we start a whole program based off this thought. And our business blows up based on a conversation I had with a guy that was doing 2 loans a month wasn't even relevant. Right? So those are 2 things I would think about, is being in the weeds, and then obviously get your grind time. And the third thing is be positive, innovative, be like,
have fun. Yeah.
People think they're stressed out about everything. Like, be positive. Like, I know there's a lot of tough things going on in the world and in your life and in my life, but I choose to focus on the great ones. And so if you be positive, good things come to good people that are thinking about good things. It's just positivity is a big deal. Everyone else likes to be down on everything. I'm not down on anything. You tell me a lot of things, I'm going to be pretty positive about almost everything that comes my way.
Isn't that true? You're walking down the street, and if you're just smiling at somebody, you're going to get some reciprocation back on that. It's so true.
Absolutely.
It's so true. Matt, this could continue for ages on my end. Thanks so much for your time and for your insight, and for sharing how you've become, a little bit of what you've done up to this point, and how you've become who you are in the company itself. We're big fans, and look forward to hearing and learning and sharing more of you and United Wholesale Mortgage.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. I enjoy spending time with you as well, and look forward to seeing you again soon.
Super. Sounds good. Thanks, Matt. Bye.